everyone. Oh, it does work. Well, first of all, I'm so happy to be here today. Deb, thank you for the invitation. It's an honor to be amongst these amazing, fabulous women on this stage, on these fancy chairs. But 18, 20 years sounds like a lot, right? But when I first started back in '07, I actually bought a Fourplex. I didn't know anything about real estate nor investment. I just thought, at some point, I'm the only child. So at some point, I will take care of my mother down in the future, right? So I bought the Fourplex in '07, not knowing a thing. This is back when you could finance about 103% of real estate. So I had $100 in my bank account, and all of it was a loan. It was an interest-only loan, and anyway, that's how it all began. Fast forward many years later, during COVID, I was tired of listening to myself in terms of like, I want to do more real estate investing. How do I go about it, right? How do I save this money to buy another investment property? And our devices listened to us, and so then I started getting advertisements, and a Ren advertisement at that. It was a meetup at Construction and Coffee. And Jenny, you're here. That's where I met you for the first time. And then you left to Texas. But we were here, and we were looking at our home. It was, studs in the house. The women were sitting down. And, she talked about numbers, vetting the deal, and everything like that. And then Deb asked us, ladies, introduce yourselves and mention what you need and what you have to offer of value. Everyone introduced themselves. This woman was a developer, this other woman was buying boutique hotels, the other one was doing fixing and flipping. And the more and more I heard, I was like, oh my God, I'm in way over my head. It was very intimidating. And notes. You spoke about notes that day. And one of the last women who introduced herself said she was a private money lender. And I said, oh, interesting, what is that? So after it was over, made a beeline towards her and asked her questions. What is it? How do you go about it? Do you really use your own money? And do you sign paper? Do you do a contract? How do you protect yourself? So that was that conversation. A couple of years later, Deb also has a mentorship program. There's another plug for you. Oh. Wow. And in that program, you and Courtney had us do a presentation in terms of, practicing your presentation of how to ask for money or share a deal with someone. So I got the experience and the interest and curiosity on both sides in terms of the private money lender and then preparing your pitch for that. Well, as a person who has a full-time job and a lot of responsibilities, it felt like something that I could do more often because I had some cash. That Fourplex that I bought in '07, I ended up refining and pulling money out, and that's what I used for investing in real estate. And but when I actually started doing private money lending, it was tough. I had some tough lessons in the beginning. And I'll share just a few examples of the deals that I did. And I must say, the first one was not a good deal. It was a bad deal. It was actually a scam, full-on scam, and I fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. I jumped in way too early. I was so green, and somebody sent me a message, social media. I had posted on one of the groups saying, I'm a private money lender, I have money, and I can lend. And so someone sent me a message. Someone I didn't know, and said, hey, I have a deal, an amazing deal. It's only gonna be 2 months, 45K, 10K in return. Are you in? We need the money within 3 to 5 days. So that should have been a red flag. It wasn't for me. At the time, I was seeing a lot of people close deals and talk about how much they were, making a profit. And so I had FOMO. I didn't want to miss out. And, because I was green, I didn't know all the questions to ask. And I was also a little shy. I didn't want to offend the investor. What if she walked away? I wanted to be a part of this amazing deal. And so, long story short, I got into the deal. The 2 months came and went, became 6, became 9, became 12, became 15. And you know, sometimes confrontation or facing something that's difficult, it's hard to confront. And anyway, we were in contact, and she kept giving me excuses, right? Like, oh, it's the contractor, or it's the permits, or once it was on market, it was, oh, it's just not selling. At some point, I did see an attorney, and he, you know, he said, let me give me the LLC name, give me the property address, and then he says, listen, I'm so sorry to tell you this, it was foreclosed on 6 months ago. And during that time, she was still telling me that it's not selling because of, you know, X, Y, and Z. I fell for it, my God. But I know it sounds really bad, but I learned a lot from this experience, right? They always say that your losses or things that go wrong truly are your learning experiences. And so from that, I took away, you know, how to protect myself, how to do the proper paperwork, right? A promissory note, a deed of trust, what position, you know, learning about positions and what's protected and what isn't, right? And then also not to be shy. It was my money. I can ask all the questions I want. And if the investor doesn't like it, then we're not a match, right? So it taught me that. It gave me confidence and security in terms of, no, I can stand on my own. This is what I need to do. This is how I can protect myself. So that was the first experience. She was out of state as well, so I thought immediately, well, maybe I should change my strategy and stick to areas that are closer to me. My second experience was with a flipper in Los Angeles. And so what I took from the second example was location, was the fact that it was in my backyard. I could go to the project at any time. And the really amazing thing about this specific project is that this investor made it kind of like an educational thing, right? Like, hey, come to my flip periodically. Let's talk about what you think. What do you think we should renovate, right? Like it was two partners. And it was amazing. I loved that experience, right? The project was supposed to only be, I think, a shorter term. It ended up going longer, but I didn't care because I knew who she was. I knew the property. I was going there on a weekly basis, loving the transition from ugly duckling to beautiful swan. And you know, and then I gained a lifelong friend. Love her to pieces. She also has great taste. She's in the crowd. You, Juliana, yes, Mercedes over there, both of y'all. And so from the second example, it is definitely location, having a great relationship and knowing, so lending from people that I know, like, and trust, right? The third example, this one is about communication, and I laugh a little just because this guy, he was an out-of-state person, and I've never to this day experienced communication like him. It was extremely thorough. His first email to me was a summary, bulleted points, a budget of what he started with, what he had used, what was left over, and then pictures. I mean, that was really thorough. I really felt like I needed to frame that email. It was so good. I was like, I need to do this for myself when I do fixing and flipping. That's the type of communicator I want to be. You know, the project went from 4 months, it was supposed to be a 4-month deal, it went to 11 months. But again, even though it went longer, I felt comfortable because it was very transparent in terms of the communication. And those are the types of lessons that I've learned along the way. For me, as a person who works full time and having responsibilities, is one of the reasons. I think it kind of, I don't know that I intentionally chose private money, but it just fit my lifestyle, right? Like my money shouldn't be stuck in the bank earning $2 for the year or less. But rather, it should work. Now I like that idea. My money should work. It should not be in the bank. It should be in someone's deal, giving me double-digit returns. And anyway, that's why I chose private money lending. At least that's what I'm focusing on now. I've also done some fixing and flipping, and maybe in the future I'll do more, but I think that's it. Trust your gut.